Hello, I'm Gavin Hoey and you're watching Adorama TV, brought to you by Adorama, the camera store that's got everything for us photographers. And in this video, I'm going to show you the simplest way I can think of to create portraits that have a really relaxed feel, where the posing for what it is incredibly fluid. The whole thing is just a really happy, fun shoot. Now, to do it is really simple. In fact, so simple. Let's take a walk and I'll explain what we're going to do. Now, whilst I'm doing this, you should be clicking on the subscribe button and the bell icon so you never miss a video right here on Adorama TV, because we have new stuff coming out pretty much every single day. Okay, this way. So to help me out today, I've got the amazing Jess. Jess is going to be the model for this, and if you want to find out more about Jess, you'll find a link to her Instagram account in the description below, where you can find out what colour her hair is this month. You can also find out about the equipment that we're going to be using. All of the links are down there as well. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is to put my camera into manual mode. Now, the reason I'm using manual mode is simply this. It is consistency of results. I'm going to take lots and lots of photos. Some will be good, some will be bad, but if I'm in manual mode, they will be the same. Even if they are all evenly wrong, at least I can adjust them all in one go. To be honest, it's not the exposure that's the tricky bit. It's going to be, well, focusing. Think about what we're going to do. Jess is going to start walking, I'm going to walk with her. We need the camera to keep up with both of us and keep Jess in focus. I'm actually going to use a shallow depth of field, so this is going to be really important. How you do that is going to depend on what camera you've got, and there are a couple of ways you can do it. The easiest way, the way that is available to most photographers, is simply to get your camera and to turn it into continuous autofocus, CAF. So usually I'm in single autofocus, one press of the shutter, one focus. However, I'm going to switch to continuous autofocus. That means with all of my focus points selected, when I half press the shutter, the camera will focus on what it thinks is the most important thing, which of course is Jess. And you can see the focus all moving around as it tries to continuously focus. It even works if I move to the side, the focus moves across, and if I go the other way, you can see that it continuously tracks her. If Jess steps away from me, it'll track her backwards as well. And if she steps towards me, it continues to focus. It's really rather good. So we're good to go, but my plan is really simple. I'm going to step onto the road, Jess is going to step onto the road, and we're going to go on the road simply because Jess is going backwards. I'm going to walk whilst looking through my lens. We don't want to trip over on the uneven grass. So, Jess, here we go. Make sure there's nothing coming. We're good? Okay, everything is set to go. Quick test shot just to make sure the exposure is about right. Okay, Jess is going to walk backwards. I'm going to walk forwards. Away we go. Fantastic. Whee! First glance, these mostly look really good. They certainly have the relaxed posing that I was after, and a little bit of movement in there too. In fact, it's not really till you slow down and have a close-up look that things don't quite work so well. For example, this shot, I can see that Jess's face is just a little bit soft. Actually, I think the sharpest point is on the fabric on her shoulder. And that's not really surprising, because this kind of basic continuous autofocus, even with its fancy cluster AF points, it doesn't really know what I actually wanted to have sharp. Now, I could have increased the hit rate really easily. All I have to do is add more depth of field, so that could mean a smaller aperture, not being as close to Jess, or just a wider angle lens, but none of those would give me the look that I was after, although all of them are nice simple fixes. There is a more advanced way with my camera that I can actually just detect Jess's face, and not only her face, but her eye. Let's have a little look. So this time we're going to up the technology a little bit, and I'm going to switch into face detect. Now there are various ways of doing face detect on my camera. This is the most basic, it'll look for a face, and when I half press the shutter, it'll find a face and track it around as I move the camera about. It'll still follow Jess forwards and backwards. It's just really great. It's very, very simple indeed. But I can up it even further by turning on eye detect. So in this case, it'll look for not only faces, but eyes. Again, half press the shutter and you can see the little green square indicating where my focus is, and it'll follow Jess's eye around the shot. This is a great way to work. Okay, so everything is set. Jess, are you ready? Yeah. Let's go again. Here we go. After you. Whee! You'll probably notice the green square isn't always over Jess's eye, particularly when she's spinning around. And that's partly because this sort of continuous autofocus, face detect and eye detect require an awful lot more processing power. Having said that, it's the results that count, and this is a numbers game. Some of the pictures, a little bit soft, but vast majority of them are like this. Go in really close, and the thing that's actually snapped into sharp focus is Jess's eye. It's fantastic. The more pictures you take, well, the more success you're going to get. That worked really well, but I thought we'd up the difficulty slightly by adding some flash to the scene. So what I've got here is my Flashpoint Xplor 400. For this to work, we're going to need a third person. We'll bring Sam in a minute, and she's going to hold the flash and walk with us as we go. I'm still going to use the same face detect autofocus system, but I need this flash to work alongside us. So I've got the trigger on the camera. There's two ways I could do this. I could do manual flash, and that's probably the way I'm going to go. That will give me consistent results if Sam can stay the same distance from Jess. Or we could use TTL flash, but then I might get slightly inconsistent flash results. Both will work, both will give you different results. So let's get Sam in, let's give this a whirl. So what we need to do first of all is establish an exposure without the flash. So still in manual mode, still wide open. I'm going to guess maybe 1,000th of a second. Let's try that. ISO 200. Yeah, that looks nice. There is light in the scene. We want to add some fill light with the flash just to give this a little bit of a pop. So turn my flash on, turn on high speed sync, same settings. I'm going to guess maybe 1/32 power. Let's try that first. Here we go. Yeah, that looks a little bit on the bright side. So we can come right the way down to 1/128 power. That's great. That gives a nice little fill flash. I like that. That looks really good. Now, all we need to do is to get Jess and Sam to remain roughly the same distance. Yeah, you're going to get a few failures. That's absolutely fine. Okay, everybody ready? Let's take a step into the road. We're all on solid ground. Off we go. Okay, Jess, after you. Okay, a little closer, Sam. Okay, that's great. Setting up the flash was a really great idea because it changed the shot in a couple of different ways, and perhaps the most obvious immediately was how much slower my frames per second became. And it could be my camera, but honestly, that wasn't a bad thing because, well, I didn't really need all of the extra pictures, and the extra time gave my camera more time to get Jess's eyes pin sharp. I certainly had more successful shots with flash. The lighting looked a little bit better. I like the sparkle in Jess's eyes, and of course switching to flash gives me an extra level of sharpness, and yet I still retain all that fluid, relaxed posing that I was after from the beginning. Well, that worked really well and gave me a very different set of pictures to the kind of fairly static portraits I tend to shoot. However, I did lose a couple of things. I lost the ability to really fine-tune the whole setup, so I couldn't really tell Jess where to put her hands or where to look or how to control the light. But what I lost was definitely outweighed by what I gained for that shoot. It was great fun. Now, if you've enjoyed this video or you've got any questions, leave me a comment below. Click on the bell icon and you'll never miss a video right here on Adorama TV. And of course, if you haven't already done so, you should click on that subscribe button. I'm Gavin Hoey. Thanks for watching.